Sheila Cherfilus McCormick, Democrat for Congress, and I approve this message. It's been difficult for many to make ends meet during the pandemic. Thankfully, Congress stepped up providing much-needed stimulus checks. Unfortunately, they were not enough for us to recover economically. Under My People's Prosperity Plan, if you are over 18 and make less than $75,000, you will receive $1,000 a month with no strings attached. Congress can provide these checks, they just did so. Under my plan, the ultra-wealthy will finally pay their fair share. For too long, working people have been bankrolling the lifestyle of the powerful few. For example, the richest man in the world owns Amazon, and they paid 0 federal income taxes in 2018. As your Congresswoman, I will fight the special interest so you can start receiving $1,000 a month. To learn more, go to peoplesprosperityplan.com.
For the past 7 months, Florida 20 has been without representation due to the passing of Representative Hastings in April of 2021. I am so thrilled to introduce to you our endorsed candidate from brand new Congress with Sheila Cherfilus McCormick, and her election is tomorrow. And so, Sheila, I know that you have got to be on edge because it is the night before your election. You know, anxiety runs really, really high. So we are so glad that you were able to take time off to just talk with us a little bit about what's going on in Florida. I know that there are 11 Democrats on the ballot right now. What does the polling look like for you?
Our polling looks really good. It's just a slim margin, so we are ahead. But the margin is so slim that we are on the ground working really hard just to really bring it home. But we're excited.
Excellent. Well, I know the district is 61% Democrat. And so explain to us what is a special election for anyone watching that really doesn't know why you're having an election on November the 2nd and is not president is not on the ballot. What's going on?
Well, we had our incumbent, Alcee Hastings, who passed away, and the governor actually called a special election like months after the passing. This is one of the longest times it's taken. So our district hasn't had a representation for more than 7 months. So that's why we're having a special election so we can actually have a member in Congress. And it is an off year. And so it's very difficult to pull people out and get the awareness out that there is an election. And when you have so many candidates in the race, it just makes it even more difficult to kind of get the word out, separate yourself, and just make sure that they know the election's tomorrow and that this is going to make a huge difference.
What kind of turnout are you seeing in voters?
Very low. We've seen a very low voter turnout. I think we could be even under maybe 10%. That's what we're looking at right now. But a lot of the voters who we're speaking to, they were under the impression that the election and the people who are running are actually running for August of 2022. So when we talk to voters now, we're like, no, the election's now, November 2nd now.
Wow.
Something that you take for granted because, you know, when I ran before, we just put like November 2nd, not realizing you do put the year on. No one puts the year, like not this year, but next year. So with other people running also around us who are running for the primary in August, but, you know, next November, it kind of increases the confusion. So we really have the whole onus of educating the district on this election and how important it is. The supervisor of election really hasn't been putting a lot of funding behind it so they can mail out and let people know what's going on. So that's why it's important that we're kind of running like 2 campaigns, right? That there's a special election and hey, I'm the best candidate there.
Exactly. You think about, you could actually win and be determined a congressional representative with less than 10% of the people in Florida 20 voting. What I know special elections turnout is normally low. What are the areas that Florida 20 encompasses?
So we have Broward County and Palm Beach County. In Broward County, we have Miramar, Tamarack, Fort Lauderdale, Lauderhill, North Lauderdale, Sunrise, Oakland, and Oakland Park. And then when we move over to Palm Beach County, there we have Waxahachie Groves, Lake Park, Riviera Beach, all the whole Glades area, Belglade, South Bay part. So we have that whole area. But the number one denominator in the district, the way it's been cut out, is that it's all pretty much the minority areas in Broward and in Palm Beach. So that's what makes it so important for us to have our voices and people voting, because a lot of our needs are really on the line in this election. And so we're trying to really push that out.
Okay, well, why don't you share with us? I want to hear about the People's Prosperity Plan. We started off with the video, and I want you to explain that, the reason behind it. What do you think, why you supported such, and what your plan will do for regular working people in Florida? Because one thing we do know, when you get elected, you will also be representing me, because your vote that you cast in Congress will also affect my life and everyone else's lives in America. And so tell us about the People's Prosperity Plan and what it is that, that would be your landmark legislation, actually, what you plan on doing with that.
So the reason why we even drafted the People's Prosperity Plan is because we saw that with the economic downturn that came with COVID, there were a lot of jobs that were lost, especially in our district, jobs that actually went towards automation. And we saw that there was economic recovery being prioritized for corporations, and then people kind of were the afterthought. And so we looked at it, and especially with housing being such a great problem, a lot of our people in our district and in the country are actually facing evictions. So what we felt was the best way was to have continued stimulus checks for anybody who's over 18 getting paid less than $75,000 a year. And what makes our campaign very dynamic is because we wanted to run a campaign that is issue-based, which is important for our district, because a lot of times people think, oh, well, they don't understand the issues. No, we do understand the issues. And what we understand more than anything is that, there's a taxing and spending problem where our taxes are being collected, but anytime it comes for the money to come into the district, it's a fight. It could never happen. And so we wanted to put it on the line and let the people start understanding, hey, this is what separates us, is that we have a plan for economic recovery for everyone in the district who needs it. And in addition to that, we have a plan to help small businesses. We see that a lot of the time, small businesses acquiring federal contracts or even grants, it's so mysterious that we're kind of left out. A lot of grant money that's even set aside for our district or other areas don't really come to the people who live in the district and who could provide the services. It's people who live outside, big corporations who come in and they provide the services, and the services really aren't even provided to a good standard. But what would it look like if we had an equitable access to federal grants to help our district? If we had equitable access to even businesses having access to federal grants? And we demystify it and we prioritize that whoever's serving in the area resembles the community. And that's where we have the systematic writing in lower income communities. And that's what's necessary at this time.
That is great. I know you're a big supporter of small businesses, being a business owner yourself and knowing the struggle of trying to really get yourself going and get grounded, and especially being a woman of color and the special challenges that you face in that aspect as well. So it's good to know that that's one of the policies that you seek to bring forth. For those that are listening, what are some of the other policies? Some of the big things we talk about is Medicare for all. And as progressive candidates, we know the need for health care. What are some of the other policies that you are going to be fighting for to represent the people of Florida 20?
Well, one of our main things that we're fighting for, aside from economic recovery and economic inclusion, which is economic justice, is Medicare for all and healthcare. The reason why it's so imperative is because we see a huge gap when it comes to physical health, but also mental health. And in our community, when I say that the community throughout the whole country, mental health has to be prioritized. We're seeing bigger numbers when it comes to our kids, especially our kids who are being diagnosed with all types of things that we just don't have access to getting the help. And we really suffer on the long run with that. Another priority for me is actually education. We find that funding for kids with learning disabilities, and that's actually how I even got involved initially, was because my daughter was diagnosed with a learning disability, and getting funding for her was like hell and high water. I tell people it was me and the teachers who were fighting, trying to figure out what's going on. And so I actually had the luxury to take off from work. And when I had that luxury to take off from work, I was able to see that, oh, this is how they do it. They actually find funding. It's kind of like a maze, and you have to have money to pursue it. And I literally saw kids who were diagnosed kind of triumph and succeed. And that's when I said, no, this can't be right. We have to be equitable in how we do it. And so I believe that we must fund healthcare, but in addition to that, mental health. And we could do that by putting money into the healthcare bill for kids with learning disabilities in schools, so we could start rehabilitating our children with physical therapy, behavioral therapy, speech therapy. There's just, I can go on and on with the list, but it's really time that we focus on improving our communities, not just economically, educationally, and mentally.
Right. I am in the education system, and I definitely know the need, the great need to have additional services for our students and the length of time that it takes for them to get services. And COVID has made a huge impact on education and the need for our students with, you're seeing more behavior problems and social problems. You think about our students were not in school. They did not develop social skills, and now everybody's back together, and you just got a lot of different things going on. And it's because of that isolation. And so mental health for our students is going to be some more years to come until we can balance it, back off because of COVID. What other kind of things do you see going on that you want to make a difference? Well, I think we lost Sheila for a moment. There you go.
Yes, sorry, my internet is going in and out. I'm so sorry.
we have expectations for technology, and expectation is something is going to happen when it comes to technology. But I was just, thinking about education and what other aspects of policy that you want, where you want to make an impact for the people.
Well, outside of education, like I mentioned, healthcare, we just need to really start thinking a new vision for how we see poverty in the
Mhm.
community in the United States. And a lot of the time we like to say, oh, we're poor. We don't have enough money for social services because we have to fund other things. We're right now coming out of a pandemic, and us having people who are living without any kind of access to healthcare, it's atrocious to think that we're doing that. Having people who lost their jobs and still not have access to healthcare, that it's just terrible. But even our kids. So I'm very happy that we have the child income tax credit. But what about our seniors? My district
Right.
has over 50% 55 and older. And during the pandemic, we worked hard to bring a lot of small businesses together to feed families. And we were able to feed over 5,000 families and elderly people at home by themselves, isolated. And though that
Mhm.
just tells you the magnitude of the problem. And now it's exacerbated because we have the same elderly people who are facing eviction. And so if you
Right.
see how Social Security isn't really helping us meet the needs, and now we have this, so it keeps on seeming like it's just compounding. And we have to do something and start really actually fixing the taxing and spending problem, because it seems like it's only a problem when it comes to spending on social programs, improving the communities, helping the people. That's when it becomes problematic, right? But when it
Right.
comes to letting people go, it's never a problem. So that's something that we're working on.
Right. And I'm glad that we're starting to have the conversations about poverty and recognizing that poverty is a public it's public policy choices, and really it's a lack of love. We don't love one another enough to care that they don't have a home. We don't love one another enough to care that they have nothing to eat, or they can't go to the doctor, or you lose a pair of eyeglasses, and you can't afford to just buy another pair. Poverty is a choice, and we really need congressional representatives that understand that and will go to DC and will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves, because we've got enough money in this country. And one thing the COVID showed us when it came to the stimulus checks, we could get money to people really, really quickly. And we did it. And so we have the capacity to do it. It's just, do we have the capacity to love one another and get past all of this partisanship to really care about the people? So we are so excited for you, Sheila. Tomorrow, polls close at 7. And tell us what you need. where can we go to volunteer, to make phone calls? What do you need to help you go all the way to DC?
Well, we definitely need right now volunteers, phone bankers, text messaging. We just need a whole bunch of help pushing out and reminding voters. Because, like I mentioned, this is a twofold campaign. We're educating the voters on where to go vote and how to vote. I'm sorry, that's my niece in the background. How to go vote and when to go vote. But we're also trying to tell them to make sure they vote for us. So this is so important. You can go to my website, which is sheilaforcongress.com, and we there you can sign up and we can get back to you. But tomorrow we have less than 24 hours now, and we're super excited. The fact that we were able to come out of what they say nowhere, and we were able to garner so much support from the community, and for them to stand by policies that actually uplift the community, it's such an inspiring moment for us to realize and say, you know what? It's not just our district that wants change, but the whole United States now is crying out saying we need change, and that change has to prioritize people. So I'm so excited to be here, and I thank Brand New Congress for their support. Without you guys and your direction, we couldn't have been there. So I thank the Brand New Congress family, and I thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you. We do know that the winner of tomorrow night, and we're just kind of like waiting because right now we're talking to the candidate, Sheila Cherfilus McCormick, but we know the winner will compete in the January 11th general election, and whoever wins is going straight to Congress. Now, our vote is for you to represent us, and we're just with tiptoe anticipation to see you representing Florida 20. And so we are asking those of you that can help. This is a special election. We know special elections have very low voter turnout. 10% of the people will decide who's going to represent Florida 20. And we have endorsed Sheila. I almost call you representative. We've endorsed Sheila because we really believe in the policies that she stands for, because they're policies that are going to affect the people. If you would like to volunteer to be a part of her campaign, please follow the link. We put the links to go to her website and volunteer. You have got to make phone calls and knock on doors to win elections and push people out to the poll. We used to call it organized. You'd have to go pull them to the polls, because we go knock on your door and pretty much kind of pull you out, put you in the car so you can go vote. No excuses, Florida. We need you to show up and show out. And let's elect Sheila Cherfilus McCormick to Florida 20. Sheila, I know it's been a long day. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. I look forward to your victory tomorrow. Stay the course.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. All right. Good night. Y'all go vote if you're in Florida 20. If you know somebody who lives in those two counties, please encourage them to go vote for Sheila Cherfilus McCormick. Good night.
Thanks. Good night.